Welcome to this episode of Amber, the one and only bilingual culture show on MU57. I'm Delvina Bian.
And I'm 春意徐，欢迎大家收看本期的情色琥珀，我是徐春意，
我是边晨。Before we start today's stories, Amber wants to make it clear that we are conscious of the report from the Daily Free Press that MU57's faculty advisor, Christopher Cavallari, was accused of sexual misconduct and verbal abuse. We stand firm against sexual misconduct under any circumstances. We are still working hard to produce authentic news for you, and Professor Cavallari will not be involved in any stories being produced. If you are experiencing any kinds of sexual misconduct, abuse, harassment, assault, or unsafe situations, please reach out Sexual Assault Response and Prevention Center at 617-353-7277 or the BU Behavioral Medicine Department at 617-353-3569. Here's what we have for you today. Amber took a look at China Eastern Airlines MU5735 aircraft accident that happened on March 21st. We spoke to trip accident survivors and Student Psychology Club Mood Psychological Counseling to gather thoughts on tragic events and associated psychological issues. Meanwhile, Boston University Student Wellbeing Team has launched a Conversation Kits program. Each kit contains 2 $5 gift cards of Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, along with a printed question designed to launch a conversation. We conducted a street interview and collected opinions from students who have used such a conversation kit and professors to collect their views regarding this new program. In the end, Amber took a dive into the Silicon Valley Scum story that is popular among international students. We invited psychology professors as well as students who experienced toxic relationship, and we also conducted a street interview to discuss personal relationships and how to keep them healthy.
在本期的情色琥珀中，我们就发生在3月21日中国东方航空 MU5735 飞机事故进行了讨论。我们采访了在其他旅途中的事故幸存者、学生心理学社团木盒心理以及教授，来得知大家对于事故和因其产生的心理问题的看法。与此同时，波士顿大学的学生福祉团队推出了一个名为对话包的项目，每个对话包中包含2张$5的 Dunkin' Donuts 或 Starbucks 礼品卡，以及一个供学生们进行讨论的问题。我们对于使用过对话包的学生进行了街头采访，来得知他们对此新项目的感受。在节目的最后， Amber 将目光放在了广受留学生讨论的硅谷渣男事件上。我们邀请了心理学教授以及有负面情感经历的学生，来探讨个人情感问题以及如何保持健康的情感关系。
China Eastern Airlines flight MU5735 suffered a tragic accident after 4,227 days of nationwide safe navigation. In this context, Amber explored the event itself and the psychological problems caused by the bad experience on the trip.
On March 21st, 2022, a China Eastern Boeing 737-800 with 132 passengers on board crashed in Guangxi after a sharp drop of 29,100 feet in altitude in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The event triggers the tragic memories of the survivors. Meanwhile, the president of Muhe Xinli offered suggestions to the survivors, their friends, and their family members. Liang Chen, who experienced the airplane accident in 2001 on his trip from Chengdu to Lijiang, shared his story. Due to privacy issues, Liang Chen will remain off the camera.
There was then a sudden fall which was very fast and straight. After that, the flight flew steadily for a while. Then the oxygen mask suddenly dropped out, and the attendants came out and asked why we took out the oxygen mask. We answered that it dropped by themselves. The flight attendants shouted something. Then there was a broadcast that said, "Our flight is experiencing a breakdown. Please put on our face mask." The airplane suddenly started to fall again. Everyone took up their coats, shoes, rings, necklace, and other accessories, and we covered our heads.
然后紧接着就出现他的播报，飞机遇到飞行故障，请大家立即带回氧气面罩。就是 出现这样的情况，然后这个时候飞机又开始急速的往下坠，然后那个时候我们就全部脱掉了身上的大衣、皮鞋包括金项链什么的金属用品全部拿掉，然后把头抱住。
Well, everything's great before the turbulence, and my girlfriend she slept on the plane, and I'm not used to sleep on the plane, so I just listen to my music, use my phone, and suddenly the plane just turbulent. I think maybe just maybe it's the plane dropped like 50 or 100 meters at once. So that make everybody wake up.
After the tragic events they experienced, the survivors suffered from long-term psychic trauma.
I wasn't scared the second day, but I felt scared after a half year. I always dream of the airplane accidents and the feeling of an airplane falling down. I suddenly feel scared in dreams, so I still feel scared to go on airplane even now.
就是那种就突然一下就不可控的这种东西出现了，有这种突然的这种恐惧，梦里的恐惧，所以我现在坐飞机还是有点害怕的。
When the MU5735 event happened, Bo Yuanzhang posted his feelings on the event.
On the way home from Orlando, the plane went through turbulence, and there was Grimmy in the cabin. I thought I would be dying there. I reminded a lot at the moment. My mom and dad, unfinished schoolwork, friends that separated for a long while, and the one who was holding my hand tightly. Many things are so common and insignificant that we never pay attention to, but when the last moment comes, we regret not having cherished it.
President of Muhe Xinli, a national student-run psychology club aiming to help international students to deal with psychological issues, warned us that all sectors in society need to help survivors avoid further developing into mental disorders.
For those who need immediate interventions, yes, they will be provided with the help they need on site. As I said, the government will send professionals to the site and help them deal with the trauma. But for those, for example, the audience in front of the televisions, or maybe residents around the accident, they cannot have such easy access to psychological help. So it really depends on their awareness of their mental status right now. For some of them, they know, okay, I need help, and they'll actually go to a therapist and talk about this and look for treatment. And for some people, they may not know they're in a bad mental status.
She also shared some ways to stay mentally healthy after the terrible experiences, as well as gave some tips to the friends and family to help the survivors to get through the difficult time.
We should definitely encourage them all the time, tell them it's okay to be sad, tell them it's okay to feel unsafe and want to run away from all the things happening in real life. But we should also keep it in mind, we shouldn't be sympathizing them, we should be empathizing. So by that I mean you shouldn't be like, oh, you poor thing, but you should like try to feel their feelings also, and think about the scenarios you might be in and what solutions you might have. And also, most importantly, if you notice they're in a very bad mental status, you should offer them the option that they can seek for help from a professional therapist.
For Amber, from Leranyu and Yu Tingchen.
We hope all of us can stay safe, but it is also crucial for us to have some pre-knowledge about traumatic events and related psychological problems.
After 2 years of life in a pandemic, many people are still struggling with mental health issues since socializing became harder than ever. To bring the BU community back together, BU Student Health Service has launched a conversation kids program to reconnect students to the community. Reporter Tian Liao and Christina Xu bring you more.
In late April, BU Wellbeing Project held pop-ups across the campus offering students with conversation codes to promote students' social well-being. To help us understand the goal of launching the Conversation Codes program, Carrie Linda, director of Boston University's Department of Behavioral Medicine, showed us what is in the Conversation Code.
Each kit contains the conversation card, which is a little card with a prompt on it, and then it has 2 gift cards that are for $5 each to different coffee shops around the city. And the intention is that each student does not use these both for themselves, that they're doing it with someone else. And then the other piece of information that's in here is a bookmark that actually has some information about the Wellbeing Project, which is an office within student well-being that tells a little bit more about our program, has our website and our Instagram that we encourage students to follow us on.
After showing us the kit, Dr. Linda said the kit helps people to feel connected, which fosters both social well-being and mental health.
That students are feeling really disconnected and lonely, which is what's contributing to feeling anxious and depressed. So sometimes sitting with a clinician might not be the best resource, but thinking broadly about how you can engage with other people to combat loneliness, meeting new friends, joining a club or a student organization, being part of one of your college's organizations is really a valuable tool to think about how you can foster your own mental health as well.
Anna Malajin, a junior studying business administration, posted a vlog sharing her experience of trying the conversation kit with one of her friends. She hopes that her vlog can help more people know about the conversation kit.
So it's basically a communication kit. It's by Student Wellbeing. The purpose of it, I guess, is to kind of give some encouragement to more connection after COVID. Now that we're coming back in person, I feel like it's been a lot harder to connect with people. So kind of having this kit with gift cards and an opportunity to sit down with someone new and ask them a question is that kind of push that I feel like a lot of people would like to have. I would recommend it. I think it's really good to get to know someone better. You can also do it with someone you're already close with because some of the questions are really deep, so you can kind of get into a conversation that you maybe haven't had before. But I think my favorite part of it is the fact that it's kind of a form of encouragement to get to know someone more. Right. So it kind of helped me in that way, and the gift cards are great, the coffee's great that comes with it. So
on the first day giving out the conversation kits in Charles River campus, we interviewed several BU students to see how they react to this program. Caroline, Natalie, Isabel, and Kimberly, who received the kit, discussed how it could help them relieve social stress and make new friends.
I think it's really cool. I will enjoy using the gift cards to go out with my friends, maybe meet someone new.
I think having free counselors and therapy sessions for students on campus is really, really important. And I think honestly something that BU could improve on a little bit more is having those counselors or therapists be more available, because I know they're being utilized a lot. So you can have less frequent meetings. So I think if BU could make it more frequent or have more counselors who are willing to talk to students, I think that would be super helpful.
For Amber, I'm Christina Xu.
We hope the conversation kits can help eliminate both students and faculty's mental health problems caused by COVID, feel reconnected to the campus, and enjoy their college lives as much as possible.
Chunyi, do you know the story about the Silicon Valley Scum?
Absolutely. It was shocking for me to know how the guy was planning to get all the compensation from his wife's death and find a new partner in just 9 days.
Unhealthy relationships can be anywhere and affects people's lives drastically. Amber explored how unhealthy relationships will affect people negatively and how to avoid unhealthy relationships.
The Silicon Valley Scum story evoked many discussions about toxic relationships. Amber invited a professor and students to discuss the psychological impacts of toxic relationships and their personal experiences.
For me, it's not tolerable because I deeply cannot accept such behavior, but I don't I don't feel I can judge him. Like it's his own choice. He didn't violate the law, and it's his privacy. But for me, actually, of course, I don't accept this, and I think it's intolerable.
Students share their personal experiences with unhealthy relationships.
The toxic relationship in my experience is the ex-boyfriend I just broke up with, which is 2 weeks ago. So in the beginning, between us, there was lack of communication. And then later we tried to communicate, but because we are so different, it's kind of hard to fully understand each other. And then sometimes we just compromise. And then in the end, he cheated on me with this other girl he was on the trip with. And I found out he didn't even confess in the end. I had to find out, and then we broke up.
Students share their views on signs of toxic partners and unhealthy relationships.
I think the biggest telltale sign if somebody's in a toxic relationship is that you see that they kind of start stepping away from their friends a lot and then stop telling you certain things, and then it's always I have to ask him first or I have to ask her first, things like that. You pick up on when your friend's less flexible with you.
Constantly not happy, like that they're complaining about specific issues that's occurring over and over again, like it's the same issue they're discussing.
Professor Melly Morrison explained common abusive behaviors and the psychological impacts of abusive relationships.
Swearing at your partner, calling him or her names, making threats are all forms of maltreatment. They're all abusive behaviors. So is grabbing, twisting arms, slapping, the more obvious physical behaviors. And they go in both directions. Men maltreat women and women maltreat men. Men tend to do more damage than women when it gets to physical aggression. But women hurt men as well, including psychologically. So psychological abuse is very destructive, and especially when there's justifications for it. Again, it's the same picture on every level of our society. People always have justifications. You started it. You never listen to me. You don't understand.
Lastly, students share their suggestions for recovering from an unhealthy relationship.
Make those lists and kind of look at those things from the outside perspective and stop telling yourself it was just different, like they don't know, like they know. You don't know because you're blinded by emotions.
Focus on your own stuff. Hang out with your friends, focus on your own work. Instead of thinking of him or thinking of your breakup or anything that has been left behind, focus on what's in front of you right now and what's in the future. And then you have to have this mindset that about your relationship. If you know this is toxic and you cannot go back, you need to convince yourself that this is the end.
For Amber, I am Wenyan Zhang.
Unhealthy relationship is a threat to both physical and mental health. We should ask for help from authorities and professionals at once when signs of unhealthy relationships appear.
That wraps up this episode of Amber. If you want to learn more about story behind the scenes, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WeChat, and Weibo, and tell us more about your opinions.
If you want to catch up on past episodes, please visit butv10.com/amber.
今天的情色琥珀就到这里了。
Thanks for stopping by. We will see you next time.
感谢您收看本期节目，我们下期再见。
好的。
OK。
他们说要不要再播一遍？
好的，风靡留学生圈他那个广受那个空，他抠掉了。
视频。你就在那。
要不先给我下一段吧，要不先 tag 吧。
好，那先。
好的，先 tag 吧，但是 tag 也过不去了。